easy for me, you know.
And hard for me, because I know they didn't come to see me at all. What does that do to the ego?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Listen, the other thing, I believe that the single off the new album was originally called Gloria.
That's very, very true. Well, originally it was meant to be Gloria, as in sort of Gloria in excelsis Deo, choirs of angels, etc., like an inspirational theme. But, I mean, people, first of all, I mean, they thought that I might actually be singing it to a person called Gloria. So we changed it to Glorious. And so now here I am with you, and so I should have changed it back again.
Absolutely, if only for this afternoon.
Exactly.
Actually, the imagery on the front of the single, unfortunately, the video is not finished yet, so we couldn't show it. But we haven't known that at all, really, Mark.
I know, but no, I suppose. Well, I suppose it came from like when I was when I was a teenager. I always loved theatre. When I was a child, I loved the circus and I loved pantomimes and all that kind of thing. And then when I was a teenager, I loved performers like David Bowie and Roxy Music and T-Rex and
Was it escapism
Cooper.
for you in a way?
Yeah, I mean, it was an escapism. It was an escape. You know, I suppose it's been well documented, I suppose, in my book Tainted Life, that that some of my teen years were a bit troubled, but some of my younger years were a bit troubled. I was a typical troubled teen, you know. So, but I've made a career out of singing to troubled teens as well.
So it's all worked out right
exactly.
in the end. So this whole flamboyant attitude, as you say, those were some of the influences. Then you went to art college. So were you originally intending to get, you know, rid of that flamboyance in a way in your art?
Well, I went to art college. It was I mean, I was terrible at school academically, and I think that was because I learned where a lot of my problems actually came from. I think when, you know, hindsight is a great thing, and I learned that when I was at school, I had a lot of learning difficulties and learning problems, which I later found out to be probably part of dyslexia. I couldn't remember facts or figures or even remember names and places, and I couldn't concentrate. So I tended to veer towards the more artistic side of things, you know, and art. So art college was great for me to go to as a way to express myself. But I got there and found that I was a terrible painter. I was a terrible sculptor. There was all these people around me making great, fantastic paintings, brilliant sculptures. So I tended to go into more theatrical sort of performance side of things.
To shock.
Well, yeah, I suppose you did when you were, you know, when you were at art college. You did all these shocking performances. It was all part of the whole thing. You know, you just wanted to shock people and be rebellious, and it was all the time of punk as well. So that was very much.
So
an
bearing in mind
influence.
it's an afternoon programme, what did you do to shock?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, we can't think of anything.
As you say, Gloria, this is an afternoon programme, but it is there in all the gory details in my book, so...
But sufficient to say that your life art, or what you were recreating, was pretty shocking.
It's a bit actually tragic when I look back on it now, actually. A bit sad, really, but, you know, that's when I met David Ball. He was making music and experimenting with music, and I put my rather sort of strange sort of performances to the music he was making, and then it kind of slowly turned it into pop music and became soft cell.
So when...
I suppose, you know, we used to perform on stage with tape recorders backing us, and we had films and we had slide projections, and we were one of the first people at that time using synthesizers, you know, the first using it was a whole new thing. Nobody had really heard of it. So all these university bands that were there at the time, they all played guitars and were really serious, wearing long grey raincoats and things, and wanted it to be really political, and they all stood there laughing at us and throwing beer at us, and I think we've had quite a few things thrown at us in those early days. And
you were screeching a bit on the side, were you?
Yes, yes, screeching, and it was pretty awful, but it was a start. You know, we all had to start somewhere, I think.
With all this flamboyance, you know, and the costumes and the theatre and everything, do you feel, bearing in mind your troubled childhood, etc., that you were hiding behind the mask, that it kind of gave you confidence in a way?
Yes, most definitely. I think that's very, very true, and I think to an extent. Not as much now. I've always liked that, using that theatrical mask kind of thing, you know. I suppose it does protect yourself in a way. I've always felt when I go out on stage, and even when I'm here now, a different side of you takes over. Off stage, I'm a much more introverted person. You know, I like to have my sort of quiet life and things. But on stage, I'm a very, very different. I almost say it's like the Marc Almond monster. He's the monster that I let out of the cage, you know, to prowl about on stage, and I can exercise that demon. But at the same time, it is a protective thing as well.
Because there was a quote I read somewhere that said, "I want to be someone, anyone but me.
Yeah,
Did you really
I
mean
think
that?
That's a sort of a bit of a sad thing to say,
Yeah,
I think,
it was
in a way. And
weird.
I don't think I feel that anymore. You know, there was a time in my teenage years and even my through the 80s, you know, performing, I think you just want to recreate yourself into something else, you know, something like this exotic figure, if you like, on the front of the album here. But I think now I've reached a place in my life that I'm much more comfortable with who I am. I know who I am and my niche. I'm much more confident as a person than I used to be. Much more. I'm glad of being my age as well. You know, I like being my age. Wouldn't like to be. I'm 17 sometimes in my mind, you know, but I think we all are sometimes. But I wouldn't like.
Goodness.
Thank goodness, yeah. But I wouldn't like to go back to being there.
No.
You know, I like the being wise that age brings you. The lessons you've learned of things.
Well, you're going to be singing the new single soon, but I want to just remind you
Yeah.
of course, the good side the Soft Cell made, and you're going out again with Pet Shop Boys, I
Yes.
know, in the States. Looking forward to going out on the road then with the Pet Shop Boys in the States?
Yeah, we're doing a joint festival tour together from one end of the States to the other, 21 dates, and then we're going to probably come back here in the autumn. We're working on a new record as well. They're going to be a greatest hits and a remix album later in the year, and we'll do some dates here as well. So
it's all busy.
Yes, and then I go out with Jules Holland after that on tour with him. Yes,
you look quite with anybody, won't you?
I do. You know, a bit of a tart, really. I think. You know?
I tell you what I do want to ask you just before you sing the song, because I mean, in some respects, you would have to say that you're lucky you're still here
Yes.
to be singing, because the drugs in your case, serious time.
I did go through some very, very difficult times in my life. It's probably is an understatement, but you know, I think that you know I have hopefully put all those times of my life in the past. I mean, I'm a very, very strong person. I think that comes through good genes on my mum's side. We're all sort of a good Norwegian, Scandinavian stock, you know. So we're all very resilient people, and we all have good strength and energy. I'll have to say that I did have some very, very bad times, but luckily I had.
For example, how long did you take ecstasy for?
Oh, God, about I think I probably first took it in about 1981, I think. And then it was just a very thing on the New York scene, you know, when I was there recording an album, and it was something that people hadn't really heard of, didn't really know what it was. And it was like part of all that hedonistic New York nightclub life, and it was try this, you know, try this and try that, and you did. And then 15 years later, I woke up off the floor, and you know, and then you realise that your life has fallen to pieces, really.
So how do you feel in terms of young people these days? I mean, having been through horrendous times, really, with drugs, I mean, every kind of drug you can think of, what would you now say to young people who obviously look to you as a great figure?
Well, I would say that people have to, you know, people have to learn their own lessons. One thing that would be wrong for me here is saying, well, I've done all this and wag my finger and say, and you know, and sort of sermonise, because I don't think that works with young people, you know, to do that. I do think that people have to make their mistakes in life and learn the lessons. At the same time, I wish things in this country people were more sensible about the whole drug thing in this country. People do take drugs, and they're always going to, and young people are going to. I just wish it was made a safer place for people to do that.
But I bet you're sorry you took so many for so long.
Yes, I did. I mean, I did. Well, you know, it sort of brought my life to a bad state, really, I think. So that's what can happen. It can start off with all fun and good times and everything else, and then, you know, before you know it, your life has fallen to pieces, you're in debt, you're nearly going bankrupt, your career's in a mess, your health is destroyed. So that's what can happen to you, you know.
Well, at least you're living proof that after rehab you can get your life totally together again, and you're busier than ever.
Well, exactly. I'm very lucky, you know. I've had great people around me. I've had to really pick myself up and start again, and I've worked very, very hard over the past 2 years to really mend what was a pretty much destroyed reputation, in a way. So I go out there, I work all the time. I'm working up until the end of next year. I could show you my diary and show you what I'm doing. And
I tell you what we could do. We could compare diaries and hair colours and lipstick and all sorts of things. We've got a lot in common, really.
The same hair. Well, yours a bit darker than mine.
And yeah, it is actually. But I'll get your colour.
I mean, the reason why I went from black to blonde, I have to say, is because I realised it's to disguise the white, really.
You know what?
Unfortunately, it's true.
That's exactly why I do it as well.
It disguises it a lot better. So you know.
So you're going to sing the new single for us, which is great.
The new song, Glorious, yes.
Well, we want to hear it.
Glorious.
Yes.
Okay.
I like this new single, as you might imagine.
Okay,
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Marc Almond, thank you very much.